This is Berwick Saga Propaganda, Part 1. Really just highlights from an Ironman run. There are several well-done Berwick runs on YouTube already, but all of them are full length, so I figured I'd just upload an example of play, fairly edited down. I'll be spoiling story shit for context, but summarizing. So, not sure how long it's going to go, because the run ends if I fail along the way. But if you like the gameplay, if you like tactics RPGs, please do give serious thought to playing Berwick Saga. It was never released in the West, so I would recommend using the English patch, which I have linked in the description. Thank you, Ethan, without whom none of this would be possible, because I cannot read Japanese. So, I'm going to start then. This, then, is Berwick Saga. Pretty standard Kaga fare for setup, Empires at War, albeit a bit more grounded than the traditional Fire Emblem approach, where you play as the lord at the crux of events. Reese is a major factor in how things play out, but he's not a king. He gives service, he obeys orders. We are playing a very small force from the edges of the League, not cosmopolitan, headed to the capital of Navarone to lend our military aid to its embattled king. Reese is like 17 or so, and the leader of this band of Xenon Knights, and Ward is his adjutant. We are here in the prologue. We're gonna fight some deserters, then present ourselves to His Majesty. So we'll start with Ward. I would not call Ward an oify, as it were, but he's perhaps more of an oify than a Jagan. Ward is good enough at base to be deployed in the final map of the game and still be able to contribute meaningfully. However, because he is high level, and because you only gain level XP in this game when you kill an enemy, not just by attacking them, that means that Ward is in fact an actual EXP thief. And because many of the game's characters are recruited by hiring them as mercenaries until they're willing to join you, and because many of those join requirements involve a level threshold, that does make EXP thievery far more a felony than it is in standard Fire Emblem. So because I'm Ironmanning, and because I'm not great at the game, my strategy is redundancy, meaning I want to recruit as many units as I can, so that if any of them die, I can replace them and still potentially beat the game. Several units also will give you an extra optional battle if you recruit them, meaning more XP, more items, more chances to gain level XP. So the upshot of that is that I don't plan to use Ward terribly much this run. It is also the case that if you deploy him, he, like Reese, is an endgame condition. So if either of them die, you get a game over, which is a bit dangerous in an Ironman setting. Adel and Leon, my spear boys, will likely be seeing quite a bit of use at the start of the game. Adel has advantage, so if he's faster than the opponent, he can strike first at melee range, and because in Berwick Saga, if you get attacked and are hit, you don't counter, that means that if Adel procs Vantage, which he will as long as he's attacked at range that he can counter, and is faster than the enemy, then he can effectively abort an enemy's charge. Not perfectly reliable, of course, since you can counterattack if the enemy misses their strike, so because Adel does not have terribly high accuracy, if he misses the Vantage strike, the enemy does get to take the shot. I'm going to spend a little bit of time here just trying to push these guys eastwards towards the town. There are some soldiers here, a couple of bowmen, and this big bastard on the bridge who is our introduction to Berwick Saga's shield mechanics. All weapons have a base chance to hit, and their base accuracy is denoted by a number 1 through 10, calculated in the tens, so 7 is 70%, 6 is 60%. Many of the early game spears have accuracies of around 50%. These iron spears are an exception in that they are 60% base accuracy. That makes them very valuable to me. I'm hoping that they don't break too fast, because in Berwick Saga you do not have weapon durability in the same fashion as you do in Fire Emblem. Rather, the durability of a weapon, there's a hidden counter of 100, I believe. Once your hidden durability is depleted to a certain point, the color of the bulb next to the weapon icon will change color from uncolored to green, to orange, to umber, to red. As it drops through the spectrum there, umber is like 4% chance per attack that the weapon will just break. And then once it turns red, that means that the next attack breaks it. After we engage in a little bit of a fracas in the western side of the map, here over on the east, we have our first mercenary, Dean and Azurna. So Dean is one of the easier recruitments, since you kind of just have to kill enough enemies and then I think have Azurna alive, and then he'll join you permanently. So as long as you use him, you'll get him without too much extra effort. Dean has the Adept skill, which gives him a chance at striking twice, the Desperation skill, which boosts his accuracy by 22% at the price of ensuring the enemy gets a counter-strike on him. But if his attack speed is faster, then Dean gets 2 hits. It will most often be faster. Dean's quite fast. And he also has the Vengeance skill, which means every time he gets hit, if he's using a weapon that has the same range as the enemy, he has a damage taken times 3% chance to counter with boosted damage and accuracy. He's fast, his HP growth is good, his strength growth is good, he's excellent. He has a low defense growth, but that becomes more of an asset than otherwise when it means that you can have Dean sit there and take a dollop of damage, and then if he takes 30 damage, he'll counter with near or actual one-shot retaliation at 90% probability. Dean's one of the best units in the game. I am hoping to use him the whole playthrough, assuming I don't get him killed. The Zerna is our free healer. She's okay. Keep her out of range, enough said. This Axe Knight, he's got 7 base defense, but a shield with 40% accuracy, and 8 skill and medium shields. Cumulatively, that means he has a 48% chance to block with a shield, meaning he has a 48% chance to have 14 defense instead of 7. I could just have Reese play tit for tat here for like half the map, because Reese has a rapier that ignores shields, but Reese's skill is quite low, and the rapier does not have it's not a weapon with a very high might, so we'd be here a while. So instead, I'm just positioning Reese nearby, because he has a CO zone that gives anybody within 3 tiles of him, any ally within 3 tiles, I should say, plus 10 accuracy. And then I'm having Ward, Adel, and Leon sort of chip along with their spears. Ward has high weapon rank to start with, so quite good accuracy, especially inside of Reese's CO zone. Adel and Leon support one another, which is a rare enough skill in Berwick Saga to be worth mentioning, and it means that each of them gets another plus 10% accuracy whenever they are within 3 spaces of one another. I am hoping to kill him fast enough that I don't break his shield beforehand because he drops the shield, but, you know, it could happen. I could try to deathmatch with Leon here, which will initiate 5 rounds of combat, but he's still got the shield, so it's a little too dangerous. If I got unlucky and he guards a couple times, and then he hits a few times while Leon doesn't guard, then Leon dies. So I don't think I'm going to risk that in the prologue. Maybe we'll see how I feel in later chapters. On the other end of the map, I've shifted Azerna into the forest, and I've got Dean chucking the road to her so he can take care of the axe fighters. They have a hidden skill where if you strike them and they sort of turn tinted red, it means that they will preferentially aggro to whoever most recently attacked them. So I can just sort of attack with Dean, and then they'll always go for him even if his arm is in range. So now Christine and Albert show up. Albert has Arabane, one of I believe 2 units in the game which do, and that means that he will never take more than 33% chance of being hit by bows, crossbows, and ballistae. That is incredibly useful. His defense and HP are also good, and he has the provoke skill, which means that instead of moving, you can use provoke to make an enemy within 5 tiles aggro to him preferentially and ignore anyone else in their range. That is hard to express how useful that is. It's extremely useful. I barely used Albert at all in my first run on the game. I don't think he gained more than like 2 levels over the course of my entire playthrough. I benched him for 90% of the game, and then I brought him in the last 2 main missions, and he contributed beautifully. Love this guy now. I'm going to use him a lot this playthrough. Christine I like a lot too. She has aim, which sacrifices movement for a 33% increase in accuracy and no other penalty. She uses bows and crossbows. If you use them both enough, then she will promote, although she's more proficient at base with crossbows, so you'll need to make a conscious effort to have her use bows if you want to promote her. She will also provide an extra mission if she promotes. So, crossbows, they have a range of 1 compared to bows' 2 range, and melee weapons 0 range. But crossbows are higher in accuracy and generally stronger, and as long as Christine has a mount, because all mounts in this game confer the Canto Plus skill, she can end her turn next to an enemy, and then at the start of the next turn, aim a shot with boosted accuracy, and then Canto out of range afterwards. Very, very useful. I knocked down the Axe Knight, I've got Dean and Azerna safe as houses, and I'm pushing towards the town. Albert uses Provoke and draws aggro, and I spend some time whittling down Richens, just trying to injure and cripple him. I don't actually manage it, but them's the breaks. Injury unequips an enemy's weapon until they can re-equip it on their own turn, and injured enemies are more likely to be crippled. Cripple is an RNG mechanic in Berwick Saga, which is more likely the greater the percentage of their health you take off in a round of combat. It's pretty rare unless you make an effort to pile units on and try to proc it. And you can do that with either skills that increase injury chance or characters who use knives, which I think have a 9% base injury chance rather than like 3%, which I think most weapons have 3%. Anyways, once Richens is weak enough, I give Reese the kill for the level XP, and we are off to Navarone, where we meet the princess, get some new digs from this nice boy Van Million, and get to settle in comfy and wait for our audience with the king. So, Reese and Ward are getting the lay of the land when they run into some peasants bemoaning some recent murders by the Mute gang. They've placed a hit on the gang leader at the mercenary guild, but no takers. As we are still awaiting the king's pleasure, Ward requests a party of Xenon knights to get some Samaritan work done. Reese notes that formal obligations keep him from fighting because he has to be on hand at any time should King Volsons demand anything of him, and that gives us a plot reason why Reese and Ward cannot participate in any of the side missions. So, he agrees that we can sortie against the bandits, and in the meantime we find that our horses were stolen, so no more +2 speed for any of my units, no more Canto Plus. It's a pretty big nerf for everybody. We are all now footlocked. But I can't really worry about the horses now. I already have obligations to the townspeople. Ward did involve me in that, so arranging an accident for the guard who was watching my horses is going to have to wait. Let's kill some bandits. I hire Dean so that we can start bumping his kill rank, and we sortie. It's pretty smooth sailing this early in the game, so there are low hit rates in general, but Elbert is already showing utility with provoke capabilities. Sherlock seems like he should be good, and I see that people say he is, but when I use him, he misses 360% in a row and then breaks his bow, and that's nearly a repeat performance of what he did in this chapter in my first run of the game, and as a result, I did not use him in my first run. Once I finish sodomizing Griff, I send Dean up north to get a few kills and hold off on attacking Graff because I remember how this chapter ends. This chapter ends when I attack Graff, and we get a cutscene where the mercenary Sylvis kill-steals me, flashes her well-turned ankles, and tears off back to the mercenary guild. Sherlock did just break his bow, so I'm gonna go ahead and spend a lot of that Graff money on pay-piggying Sylvis. You'll be seeing a lot of Sylvis in the rest of this video. I intend to use her as much as I can. She needs to be level 10 before she can be recruited. She has Overwatch, and that is incredibly useful. More on that later. We return to Navarone, and are summoned for audience with Van Million's father, Duke Roswick, and then King Volsons. Roswick is professional, but not cold. He and Princess Sienna seem to form one power block among the king's factions at court, and Padolf and Herman the other. The meeting is more of a humiliation ritual than anything else. Reese does swear undying loyalty, and Volsons insults us, and all but insinuates we fuck our horses. Sienna sticks up for us, but it's not looking good as far as the king is concerned. He's got one of them faces. This is the kind of game where you can tell what a character is going to be like by their design. Reese did just swear undying loyalty to this guy, so I'm sure that won't, I don't know, prove to be a source of tension. So now we have our next side quest. There's usually like 2 of these per chapter. So Arthur and Ruby, 2 young and masterless knights, happen by while the nuns are looking for some sort of assistance. The orphans at their abbey have been poisoned, and they suspect that it is coming from upriver. Somebody's been like doing that fracking or whatever. They go ahead and contact Reese and his droogs, and we are all headed off to go investigate. Well, seems like we found a little early in the game to be introducing Mount Doom, but here we are. The clergy of the evil empire appear to be behind poisoning the river. Cool. Arthur and Ruby, I'm going to have to keep them alive for a couple of turns before the rest of my units arrive, but that is going to have to wait until I finish tossing Denari at Sylvis's feet and asking to watch her draw that composite bow at different angles. I've got a desperate need to make Sylvis happy, because once her happiness stat is high enough, and once she's level 10, then she gives me an optional battle, and then she joins me permanently. So, being relatively careful with Arthur and Ruby, neither of them are terribly strong at this point in the game. Ruby in particular is very weak, and she has very, very low accuracy and very low weapon ranks, so promoting her and getting her to join on a permanent basis is really quite an investment, because she needs like rank 20 in all of her equipable weapons, and she starts at pretty much base. So that's a whole deal, but I'm going to try it, because if she joins you, then you get another unit for free who is excellent. Arthur is extremely easy to recruit. You kind of just need to use him in one battle. I don't think he's even got a level requirement, and he's good, but as a consequence of his simple recruitment, I won't be using him very much until I've finished paying money into the units who I need to use more. Couple of iffy spots in here, but I do get Ruby, Dean, and Sylvis some experience. Train a little lance rake with Albert. This guy here has a berserk orb, but there is a fleeing unit who is already crippled and who carries a sedative, which cures the berserk status. Because he's crippled, it means that he cannot fight back, which means I get a free capture. Capture gives you EXP as if you killed, and it also gives you the entire contents of the captured unit's inventory. So sort of like Fire Emblem 5 if you've played Thracia. So after I survive a couple of positioning mistakes, which leave Azurna open to almost getting killed if the enemy AI moved differently, I do manage to clear out the opponents here, and then I just push everybody up, and I keep the unit who has the sedative powder out of Desaad's sphere range. So he berserks, and then I heal the berserk unit, and then he has an empty inventory. His ass is mine. I turn him into Ruby's Catamite for a little, and then once the peg session is done, we head back to the orphanage. As it turns out, further investigation reveals the Raysite Church was in fact trying to poison the entire city through its water supply to degrade its war posture, not specifically the orphans, so much less diabolical than initially it appeared. And Ruby and Arthur are now offering their services as mercenaries. I'll take it. Ruby does have Axebane, so she'll never take more than a 33% chance to hit against axes, which is useful, but, on 1RN, that's still a 1 in 3. And unlike Elbert, who has high defense and HP, if Ruby gets hit, she automatically almost needs to use like a vulnerary or she'll die. Arthur is much better. But again, because he's easier to recruit, I won't be using him as much, because my strategy here is redundancy. And this is Ruby's, this is her dad. If you promote her and she joins you, Clifford will join you for free. He's an alcoholic. Here's a scene where he smacks her around for disrespecting him. Clifford is extraordinarily strong, but Clifford won't be joining me for a long time, maybe not ever, if I get Ruby killed. And that's a wrap for chapter 1.